First contact fallout. Ambassador Sarah Reeves stood motionless as the transport's airlock cycled open, revealing her first glimpse of the galactic assembly station. The massive structure hung in space like an artificial star, its gleaming silver spires reaching outward from a central hub, where representatives of over 300 spacefaring civilizations gathered to shape the destiny of the galaxy. "Impressive, isn't it?" remarked Dr. Keller, the xenobiologist standing beside her. "Hard to believe we're the first humans to set foot here." Sarah nodded, her diplomatic mask firmly in place despite the flutter of excitement in her chest. 6 years of negotiations had led to this moment, humanity's formal petition to join the assembly. After centuries of wondering if they were alone in the universe, humans had finally made contact with the galactic community only 10 years ago. Their rapid technological development since then had been unprecedented, fueled by cautious knowledge exchanges with friendly species. Ambassador Reeves, a melodic voice called from beyond the airlock. "Welcome to Nexus Station." The speaker was Diplomat Nix Terrell of the Aetheri, humanity's first extraterrestrial contact and sponsor for Earth's assembly application. The slender, silver-skinned being stood a head taller than Sarah, 4 arms clasped in the traditional greeting posture of their people. "Diplomat Nix Terrell," Sarah responded with a precise bow. "Earth appreciates your continued guidance." Behind Sarah, 5 other humans, scientists, military advisors, and diplomatic staff, arranged themselves in the formation they had practiced countless times. First impressions would be crucial. "I must warn you," Nix Terrell said quietly as they proceeded through the bustling arrivals concourse. "The mood among certain elder species delegations has been contentious regarding Earth's petition." Sarah had expected this. Humanity's journey to the stars had been unusually rapid. While some species took millennia to develop interstellar travel after achieving industrial technology, Earth had done it in mere centuries. "We understand their concerns," Sarah replied. "We're prepared to address them." The Nexus Central Chamber was a vast amphitheater, with concentric rings of delegation platforms arranged around a central speaking dais. Sarah's eyes were drawn immediately to the Elder Ring, the innermost circle where the 12 oldest spacefaring civilizations maintained permanent stations. These were species that had been crossing the void between stars when humans were still figuring out agriculture. "The human delegation approaches," announced the Chamber Herald, a member of the crystalline Tix species whose natural resonance made them perfect for ceremonial roles. All eyes turned towards Sarah. Compound eyes, singular orbs, sensory clusters, and every other manner of perceptual organ from across the galaxy. Some gazed with curiosity, others with thinly veiled hostility. "Humanity," rumbled Arch-Counselor Dreth of the Morrigan Collective, the current assembly leader, "you come before this body seeking recognition and membership. You are young, perhaps the youngest species ever to petition directly for full member status." Sarah stepped onto the speaking dais, feeling the subtle vibration as translator fields activated around her. Her words would be conveyed to every being present in their native language. "Honored Assembly," she began, her voice steady. "Earth extends its hand in friendship and cooperation. While we may be young by galactic standards, we bring fresh perspective and eager collaboration to this esteemed body. We have much to learn, but also much to offer." A harsh, clicking sound interrupted. Laughter from the Creax delegation. "Much to offer," their representative chittered. "What could hatchlings teach the elders? Your species still bears the scars of planetary warfare. Your history is drenched in blood." Sarah had been prepared for this line of attack. "We do not deny our history, Representative. We learn from it. Humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to transform our flaws into catalysts for growth." "A pretty sentiment," hissed Representative Val Soreth of the Draconis Imperium, ancient reptilians who controlled the largest territory in the Assembly. "Yet we observe your rapid military development alongside your diplomatic overtures. Your species builds warships even as you speak of peace." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. "Defensive capabilities," Sarah corrected firmly, Earth exists on the frontier of explored space. We've already encountered pirates and resource raiders in our home system. Self-protection is prudent, not aggressive. For 4 hours, the questioning continued, probing, sometimes hostile interrogations about Earth's intentions, capabilities, and worthiness. Sarah answered each with calm clarity, occasionally deferring to specialists in her delegation for technical details. As the session drew to a close, Sarah sensed a shift in the chamber's mood. Several mid-tier species had spoken in support of Earth's petition, impressed by humanity's responses and the potential for new trade relationships. The Assembly will recess to consider Earth's petition, Arch-Chancellor Dreth announced. Ambassador Reeves, your delegation will be notified when a decision is reached. As they were escorted to their assigned quarters, Dr. Keller leaned close to Sarah. That went better than expected. Sarah wasn't so sure. The Elder Ring species were uniformly hostile. Something deeper is happening here. Politics, suggested Commander Hayes, their military attaché. We represent change, and old powers rarely welcome that. Their quarters were luxurious by human standards. A suite of rooms with gravity calibrated to Earth normal and environmental controls adjusted for human comfort. But Sarah immediately noticed the subtle security measures. Restricted network access, monitored communications, entry and exit logging. We're being watched, Hayes observed quietly, conducting a security sweep with devices that had been carefully hidden within their diplomatic luggage. Standard procedure for petitioning species, Nix Terrell assured them when they returned later that evening. The Assembly must assess your behavior in an unstructured setting. Sarah nodded, though she didn't entirely believe their sponsor. When might we expect a preliminary response to our petition? Soon, the Athery promised. There has been much debate, but I believe. An urgent chime interrupted as Nix Terrell's communication device activated. The diplomat's expression, usually serene, shifted to one of alarm. What is it? Sarah asked. Security alert, Nix Terrell replied, their voice suddenly formal. All diplomatic personnel must return to their delegations immediately. After Nix Terrell departed, the human delegation gathered in their common area, tension evident in every face. Something's wrong, Hayes stated, checking his secure communicator. Our embassy on Praxis Station reports unusual movements of Assembly security vessels. Before they could discuss further, the door to their quarters slid open without announcement or permission. 6 armored figures entered, members of the Assembly Enforcement Division, the closest thing the galactic community had to a police force. Ambassador Sarah Reeves, the lead officer, stated, "You are required to accompany us to the Security Council immediately." Hayes stepped forward. On what grounds? As head of diplomatic security. Stand aside, human. The officer interrupted. This matter concerns classified security protocols. Interference will be considered hostile action. Sarah raised a hand to stop Hayes' protest. I'll go willingly. The rest of you, contact Earth and inform them of the situation. As she was escorted through corridors suddenly empty of the usual diplomatic traffic, Sarah felt a growing sense of dread. This was not standard procedure for any diplomatic mission she had studied. The Security Council chamber was smaller than the main assembly, with only the Elder Ring species present. Their faces, those she could read, showed grim determination. Ambassador Reeves, Arch-Chancellor Dreth, began without preamble. Serious allegations have been brought against you, and, by extension, against Earth. Sarah maintained her composure. What allegations? A holographic display activated in the center of the chamber, showing what appeared to be encrypted data streams. These communications were intercepted from your quarters, explained Vale Sorth of the Draconis Imperium. They contained detailed scans of Assembly defense systems and classified technological specifications. That's impossible, Sarah stated firmly. We sent only diplomatic updates to Earth, all through approved channels. The evidence suggests otherwise, Dreth continued. Further investigation reveals that human systems have been probing Assembly networks since your arrival. Sarah's mind raced. This was clearly fabricated evidence, but why? I categorically deny these accusations and demand to see the specific data packets in question. Earth has strictly adhered to all communications protocols. The Security Council has reviewed the evidence and found it conclusive, Val Sorth declared, ignoring her request. Under Assembly Security Directive 773, espionage during a membership petition is considered a fundamental breach of trust and an act of aggression. Sarah felt the trap closing around her. I demand communication with Earth immediately. This is a clear violation of diplomatic protocols established during our preliminary agreements. Communications have been restricted pending resolution, Dreth stated coldly. The penalty for violation of Directive 773 is absolute. Sarah stood her ground as Assembly security officers moved to surround her. Earth will not accept this travesty of justice. Whatever game is being played here. This is not a game, human, Val Sorth interrupted. This is the preservation of galactic security against a species that has demonstrated unprecedented technological acceleration and now attempts to infiltrate our most sensitive systems. The next 12 hours passed in a blur of isolation, interrogation, and mounting horror as Sarah realized that no evidence, argument, or appeal would sway the Security Council. They had decided her fate, and possibly Earth's, before she had even entered the chamber. From her detention cell, she was permitted one brief communication with her delegation. Hayes's face was grim on the small display. They've blocked all our communications with Earth, he reported. The Aetheri are trying to intervene, but they're facing pushback from the Elder Ring species. This is a setup, Sarah said quietly. Someone planted false evidence. The question is why. The Nexus station is buzzing with rumors that Earth's petition will be not just denied but that sanctions will be imposed, Hayes continued. Some species are already withdrawing their diplomats from Earth space. Sarah closed her eyes briefly. Tell the others to prepare for emergency evacuation. If they come for you, Ambassador, Hayes interrupted, we're not leaving without you. That's an order, Commander, Sarah replied firmly. Earth needs to know what's happening here. This goes beyond my fate. Before Hayes could respond, the communication was terminated. Hours later, Sarah was brought before what they called a tribunal, in reality, just the Elder Ring representatives who had already determined her guilt. Sarah Reeves, representative of Earth, intoned Arch-Counselor Dreth, you have been found guilty of espionage against the Galactic Assembly. The sentence is purification by ionizing radiation, a method your species would understand as humane. Sarah stood tall, her voice unwavering. I go to my death knowing that Earth came in peace and was met with deception. Whatever your motives in this charade, know this. Humanity's spirit cannot be broken by injustice. We have faced extinction before and survived. We will endure whatever comes next. Her final words were broadcast across all assembly frequencies, a fact she learned only as she was led to the execution chamber. It was the only miscalculation her accusers made, allowing her final declaration of innocence to reach not just her own delegation, but representatives of dozens of younger species who had supported Earth's petition. As the chamber doors sealed and the air began to hum with building energy, Sarah's last thoughts were not of fear, but of the consequences that would follow. Earth had contingency plans for first contact scenarios gone wrong, plans she had hoped would never be needed. She closed her eyes as the radiation reached lethal levels, her body illuminated in blue light that grew steadily brighter until, mercifully, consciousness faded. Throughout the Nexus station, beings of 100 different species watched the execution on their information feeds. In Earth's diplomatic quarters, the remaining delegation stood in stunned silence as Commander Hayes activated an emergency protocol that had been established years ago, but never expected to be used. The message he sent was brief and encoded in a way that would bypass normal assembly communication monitoring. BLACKSTAR Pirotokivol co-enfiramid, Ambassador executed, return imediate Eloi. As the human delegation fought their way to their ship against minimal resistance, most assembly security forces having underestimated their combat capabilities, the message raced toward Earth at speeds that should have been impossible according to the technology humanity had thus far revealed to the galaxy. Within hours, every human vessel, diplomat and citizen began withdrawing from assembly space with quiet efficiency. And then, for the first time since achieving spaceflight, Earth went completely silent. The Judgment Protocol. 100 days after Ambassador Sarah Reeves' execution, Earth remained silent. Throughout assembly space, speculation ran rampant. Some believed humans had retreated into isolation, shocked by the assembly's harsh judgment. Others suggested Earth was preparing formal diplomatic protests through intermediaries. A few warned that the unusual silence portended something more ominous. None guessed the true scale of what was happening behind the communications blackout. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a command center that hadn't existed 3 months ago, General Eliza Winters studied holographic displays showing the progress of what had officially been designated the Judgment Protocol. As Supreme Commander of Earth's newly unified defense forces, she bore the weight of humanity's response on her shoulders. "Status report," she requested, her voice calm despite the circumstances. Fleet Admiral Takahashi stepped forward. "Phase 1 is complete, General. All civilian ships have been retrofitted with defensive systems. The Jupiter shipyards have exceeded production targets by 23%. The Mars Defense Platform is also operational," added Director Chen of Advanced Systems. "All 32 stations are online with full targeting capabilities." Winters nodded, studying the tactical overlay showing Earth's solar system. In just 100 days, humanity had transformed their home into a fortress. Industrial capacity that once produced luxury goods now manufactured weapon systems and defensive technologies. Scientists who once competed against each other now collaborated with single-minded focus. "And Project Prometheus?" she asked. Director Chen's expression remained neutral, but his eyes conveyed his awe. "The first 3 vessels will be ready for deployment in 7 days. We've incorporated the theoretical advancements from Dr. Patel's team, advancements we deliberately withheld from the assembly during negotiations. Capabilities beyond anything we've shown the galactic community," Chen replied. "The propulsion system is 4 generations ahead of what the assembly believes we possess. Weapons systems are unprecedented." The command center door slid open, admitting President Olivia Martinez. The room snapped to attention, but she waved them back to their duties with a tired smile. "Madam President," Winters greeted her, "you should be resting." Martinez shook her head. "Not while Sarah's killers believe they've cowed us into submission." She studied the displays. "Will we be ready?" "Yes," Winters confirmed without hesitation. "The question remains, ready for what exactly? The Assembly hasn't made any moves against Earth directly. They seem content to believe we're licking our wounds." "Because they don't understand us," Martins said simply. "Throughout our history, humans have responded to existential threats, not with capitulation but with innovation. The Assembly expected us to beg forgiveness or perhaps launch a futile emotional counterattack. They never considered we might transform ourselves entirely." Director Chen nodded in agreement. "The technological leaps we've made in these 100 days would normally have taken decades. Necessity truly is the mother of invention. And desperation its father," added Admiral Takahashi grimly. The president moved to the central holographic display, expanding the view to show the entire sector, including Nexus Station where Sarah had died. The Assembly made a critical error in their assessment of humanity. They judged us by what we showed them, the diplomatic face, technological capabilities we deliberately downplayed, military resources we kept hidden. They believed their own propaganda, Winters concluded, that younger species are inherently inferior, that age equates to advancement. "A mistake they will soon regret," Martins stated. "Has the message been prepared?" Admiral Takahashi nodded. "Yes, Madame President. It will be broadcast simultaneously to all assembly worlds and outposts the moment we reactivate communications. And the Prometheus fleet will be in position. Within minutes of the broadcast, confirmed Winters, the assembly will have no time to prepare. Martinez stared at the representation of Nexus Station, her eyes hard. They killed our ambassador, executed her without proper trial, without evidence, without honor. They expected submission. Instead, they will face judgment. Across Earth and its colonies, final preparations accelerated. In orbital shipyards, massive vessels took shape, their designs unlike anything humanity had previously fielded. On the lunar surface, weapon platforms that had been concealed during assembly inspections activated, their operators running final diagnostics. Throughout the solar system, defensive grids powered up, creating overlapping fields of protection. On Mars, Dr. Amelia Patel stood in the control center of what had once been a civilian research facility. Now it housed the nerve center of humanity's most closely guarded technological secret, quantified space manipulation, a theoretical advancement they had deliberately kept hidden from their first extraterrestrial contacts. Final calibration complete, reported her chief engineer. The QSM network is synchronized across all platforms. Patel nodded, allowing herself a moment of professional pride. Before the crisis, she had been leading a small team exploring theoretical physics. Now her theories had been weaponized in ways she had never imagined. Dr. Patel called a communications technician, priority message from Earth Command. The message was brief. Judgment Day -7. Complete all preparations. 7 days, after 100 days of silence, humanity would speak again, not with words of conciliation or pleas for understanding, but with a demonstration of power that would shake the foundations. The Assembly's complacency. In his private meditation chamber aboard Nexus Station, Arch-Counselor Dreth of the Morgan Collective watched the time display count down the rotation cycles since Earth's communications had gone dark. The human silence troubled him more than he cared to admit to the Security Council. Enter, he called at the soft chime of his door. Representative Val Sorth of the Draconis Imperium glided into the chamber, scales gleaming under the subdued lighting. You summoned me, Arch-Counselor. Have your intelligence assets detected any activity from the human territories? Dreth asked without preamble. Val Sorth's vertical pupils narrowed. Nothing. Their colonies have gone as silent as their homeworld. Trade has ceased. Diplomatic outposts have been abandoned. It's as if they've retreated entirely from galactic affairs. That doesn't concern you, Dreth rumbled. Should it? They are primitives, barely centuries into spaceflight. The execution of their ambassador delivered the message we intended, that they are not ready for assembly membership. Val Sorth's tongue flicked out briefly. Perhaps in a few centuries, once they've learned their place. I wonder, Dreth mused, if we have underestimated them. Val Sorth made a dismissive gesture. Based on what? Their technology is generations behind our own. Their military capabilities are minimal. They have no allies among the elder species. Yet the Aetheri sponsored their petition, Dreth pointed out. And they achieved faster than light travel less than 50 years after discovering elementary particle physics. Such rapid advancement is unprecedented. Anomalous, but not threatening, Val Sorth insisted. The silence indicates acceptance of their position. They understand the power differential now. Dreth was unconvinced. Something about the abrupt silence nagged at him, triggering ancestral instincts that had served his species through eons of evolution. Before he could articulate his concerns, a junior aide rushed into the chamber without proper announcement, a breach of protocol that immediately captured both leaders' attention. Forgive the intrusion, the aide stammered, but Priority 1 alert. Earth has broken its silence. Aboard the UES Prometheus, Captain Jason Chen stood on the bridge of humanity's first true warship. At over 2 kilometers long, the vessel represented the pinnacle of human military engineering, technology that had existed only in theoretical designs when Sarah Reeves departed from Nexus Station. Final jump calculations complete. "Captain," reported his navigation officer. "QSM drive is at optimal capacity." Chen nodded, studying the tactical display. Two sister ships, the UES Nemesis and UES Retribution, maintained formation with the Prometheus, their massive hulls gleaming against the backdrop of space. Each carried enough firepower to level a small moon, though such destructive capacity was not their primary purpose. "Communications, status of the broadcast," Chen inquired. "President Martinez's message is being transmitted across all assembly frequencies, sir. Confirmation of receipt from 87% of major assembly worlds." Chen allowed himself a grim smile. "Right on schedule. Helm, initiate jump sequence. Let's make sure we arrive in time for the response." Throughout assembly space, on thousands of worlds, across millions of information networks, regular broadcasts were suddenly interrupted. The face of President Olivia Martinez appeared on screens and holographic displays, her expression solemn. "To the Galactic Assembly and all its member species, I speak for Earth after 100 days of silence. I speak for humanity, united as never before in our history. I speak for Ambassador Sarah Reeves, executed without cause, without justice, without honor." The message continued, her voice unwavering, as she detailed the fabricated evidence, the mockery of justice, and the true reason behind Earth's silence. The Assembly believed our silence indicated submission. It did not. It marked preparation. 100 days ago, you awakened something that has slumbered within humanity since our earliest days, our capacity to transform in the face of existential threat. The message shifted to show massive shipyards, advanced weapon platforms, defense systems unlike anything humanity had previously revealed to the galactic community. The Judgment Protocol was established years ago as a contingency we hoped never to implement. It specified that if first contact proved hostile, if the galactic community proved to be predators rather than partners, humanity would respond not with reckless aggression, but with calculated preparedness. The feed returned to Martinez's face. "To demonstrate the seriousness of our position, we have dispatched representatives who will arrive at Nexus Station shortly after this message. They come not to negotiate our return to the Assembly, but to establish the terms under which the Assembly will acknowledge its crimes and reform its practices." The message ended with a simple statement: "Judgment comes." In the Assembly Security Council chamber, chaos erupted as the implications became clear. Some representatives dismissed the message as empty threats from a primitive species. Others called for immediate military mobilization. "Deploy the defense fleet," Val Sorth demanded. "These primitives dare to threaten the Assembly." Before Dreth could respond, the station's proximity alarms blared. A security officer rushed to the central console. Unidentified vessels approaching. Massive energy signatures unlike anything in our database. "Impossible," Val Sorth hissed. "No ships could reach Nexus this quickly after." The officer's voice cracked with disbelief. "They're already here." Outside the station's massive viewports, space itself seemed to ripple and distort. 3 enormous vessels materialized where nothing had been moments before, their sleek, predatory designs unlike the utilitarian craft humans had previously fielded. They dwarfed the Assembly defense vessels stationed around Nexus. "How did they?" Val Sorth began, but Dreth cut him off. "They concealed their true capabilities," the Arch-Counselor realized aloud. "What we've seen of human technology has been exactly what they wanted us to see." The central communication system activated without authorization, projecting the image of a human in a military uniform. "This is Captain Jason Chen of the United Earth ship Prometheus. As specified in President Martinez's message, we come to deliver the terms under which the Assembly will acknowledge its crimes against humanity and implement systemic reforms." "You have no authority here," Val Sorth snarled. "Your ships will be destroyed if they do not withdraw immediately." Chen's expression remained impassive. "I recommend against hostile action, Representative. To demonstrate why, please observe." One of the human vessels, smaller than the flagship but still imposing, maneuvered toward an uninhabited moon that orbited the gas giant several million kilometers from Nexus Station. A focused beam of energy lanced out from the ship, striking the moon's surface. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, to the horror of everyone watching, the moon began to collapse inward, as if gravity itself had intensified exponentially at its core. Within minutes, what had been a moon was reduced to a dense, compact mass, less than a tenth of its original size. Quantified space manipulation, Chen explained calmly. The ability to locally alter the properties of space-time. We could have revealed this technology during our petition process, but Earth has always been cautious about sharing our most advanced capabilities until we could be certain of the Assembly's intentions. Stunned silence filled the chamber. A delegation will board this station in 1 hour, Chen continued. They will present our terms directly to the full Assembly. I suggest you gather your representatives accordingly. As the transmission ended, Dreth turned to Val Sorth, whose scaled face had paled to an ashen hue. You were saying something about primitives. Throughout the Assembly Station, panic spread as news of the demonstration reached the various delegations. Species that had dismissed humans as insignificant now scrambled to evaluate this display of technology that should have been centuries beyond Earth's capabilities. In Earth's command center, President Martinez watched the feed from the Prometheus with grim satisfaction. Phase 2 complete, she announced to her advisors. Prepare the delegation. General Winters studied the tactical displays showing Assembly Defense Forces scrambling into disorganized response patterns. They're in disarray. Their command structure isn't designed for rapid response. Because they've never needed it, Martinez observed. The elder species have maintained technological superiority for so long they've forgotten how to innovate under pressure. A weakness we don't share, Winters agreed. Martinez's expression was solemn as she watched the Assembly's panicked reactions. Sarah deserved better than what they gave her. Now they'll learn that humanity